Hello and welcome guys to another video. So today we will be doing one of the favorite chapters of every student, blood circulation. So we will study heart and all. So basically I have made this video to become about the cardiac cycle. So mainly I'll be teaching that in this video. So before getting into cardiac cycle, I just want to give you a basic idea of how the blood flows. I'm sure you all know this from class 10th, but still if you guys get a bit confused, I will just give you an rough idea or an easy idea. This is a very beautiful diagram, not beautiful, it's a bang average diagram, but it helps you understand. So let's start. So these blue vessels, these represent deoxygenated blood which does not have oxygen, and the red one which I have made, they carry oxygenated blood. So that is only thing. Now I will just tell you how the blood is flowing. So basically what happens from the body after the cell use up the blood, they supply the deoxygenated bloods are carried by the vein. So this is the vena cava. It brings deoxygenated blood from lower body. So this is as you know, you understand the mnemonics, I hope. This is the right atrium, this is the right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. SV is semilunar valves, TV is tricuspid valves. This is BV, this is BV, bicuspid valve or mitral valve, you can say. So let's start. I will just explain to you how the blood flows. Then we will start the main topic, which is the cardiac cycle. Okay. So blood comes. Okay, blood comes from here, vena cava. It is collected in the right atrium. Then right atrium say it goes through this tricuspid valve. Right atrium say it goes to tricuspid valve. It is collected in the right ventricle. Then it comes to right ventricle. Right ventricle say it passes through the semilunar valves, and it goes through the pulmonary artery. Deoxygenated blood, very very important. Pulmonary artery is the only artery which carries deoxygenated blood, and pulmonary vein is the only vein which carries oxygenated blood. Generally what we have learned, that veins carry deoxygenated blood and arteries carry oxygenated blood, but these are the only two exceptions in a human body. So please remember that, again a very important point. So let's continue. So the blood glows from the blood glow sorry the blood goes from right ventricle to the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery takes it to the lung. Then it is mixed with it goes in the alveoli, and the whole blood is filtered, as you have read in the breathing and exchanges chapter. So either the blood is oxygenated, and then oxygenated lung, the blood comes back, the oxygenated O2 plus, O2 minus matlab deoxygenated blood went, then O2 plus blood comes through the pulmonary vein to the left atrium. Where does it come? It comes to the left atrium. Pulmonary vein brings it to the left atrium. Then from left atrium it passes through the bicuspid valve, and it reaches the left ventricle. Left atrium, it passes through bicuspid valve and it reaches the left ventricle. Now through this left ventricle, the matlab either your blood was, it passes through the bicuspid valve, it reaches in the left ventricle. Left ventricle say it again passes through a semilunar valve, and it enters the aorta, or aorta as you spell it. Now aorta passes the whole blood. Okay guys, so another important thing to remember here is the SAN means sinoatrial node, and the AVN means atrioventricular node. Now these nodes generate electrical impulses. Now what does the heart beats, right? So it beats because of these electrical impulses. Now it is very important to understand their function, to understand cardiac cycle. So the SAN, sinoatrial node, first of all its position, it is located on the upper right hand side of the right atrium. Where is it located? It is located on the upper right hand side of the right atrium. Very important, upper right hand side on the right atrium. And where is atrioventricular node represented, means situated? It is present on the bottom left hand side of the right atrium. It is present on the bottom left hand side of the right atrium. Now obviously these are nodes, so these will be different, but I've represented them as a dot. So another important thing, their location, please keep that in mind. Then there is bundle of His. This carries the electrical pulses generated by SAN, down, and then it is further carried throughout the ventricles by Purkinje fibers. Okay, so SAN, it is the main, which it is called the pacemaker of our heart. So I forgot the term. It is called the pacemaker of a heart, means it generates the impulse. These also generate, but in a very low amount. The main pacemaker of our heart is SAN, sinoatrial node. So this generates the impulses, and then avian also generates bundle of His, carries it down, and then Purkinje fibers also carries this impulses. Now we will learn the function. Okay, I'll just tell you here. So what happens when SAN, when sinoatrial node, when this generate impulse, the right atrium, it contracts. Okay, we will learn it in the next slide. Okay, I will see if I explain it to you, you won't understand that much. I will start the cardiac cycle, and in cardiac cycle only I will tell you how the impulses are generated. But I hope you understand the basic flow of the blood, and how is everything working. Now according to that, I will explain to you the cardiac cycle. It is very important, one question has to come in it. So basically one question from that ECG, the इलेक्ट्रोकार्डियोग्राम, दैट डायग्राम, उससे क्वेश्चन पक्का आता है. और एक यहाँ से आ सकता है या फिर द बिफोर पार्ट्स से आ सकता है, बट दिस इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट part. So yes, okay guys, so let's start with the cardiac cycle. So cardiac cycle, it is basically a cycle of heartbeats, of how the blood flows and how the impulses go and all that. So first I will explain the cycle to you, then we will go into detail. So as these are just basic terms, you must know them. So systole, what is systole? Is contract, when it presses, contracts. And diastole is relaxation or expand. मतलब atrial systole का क्या मतलब है? Atrial systole means atria is contracting, atrial diastole मतलब atria is expanding. So I hope you know all these basics. So atrial systole is of 0.1 second. First remember, very very important, the timings. Atrial systole is of 0.1 second. Sorry, I did not start here. Yeah, cardiac cycle, total cardiac cycle is of only and only 0.8 seconds. How many? 0.8 seconds. Now to divide it, atrial systole 0.1 second, ventricular systole 0.3 second, उसके बाद joint diastole 0.4 seconds. So atrial systole is 1, then ventricular systole 3, and diastole 4. So total it becomes 8. So this is the total, the numerical value of cardiac cycle. Now first we will start from, it is obviously cycle, but we generally start from the atrial systole. So atrial systole it is of 0.1 second, जिसमें atria का systole होता है, means atria contracts and the blood goes down. So the blood, as you know, I explained the structure of heart to you, how the blood flows. So atrial systole में atria ऐसे press होता है, तो इधर जो atria में blood है उस पर pressure आएगा, so it will go down through the tricuspid valve and it goes down. मतलब right atrium का goes into right ventricle, left atrium का goes into left ventricle. ठीक है. So this happens. Then उसके बाद atrial diastole occurs. Okay, atrial systole starts and atrial systole happens, and then atrial diastole happens. And the same time atrial diastole means atria relax हो गया, तो कौन होगा, press कौन होगा, ventricles press होंगे. So then ventricular systole occurs. Ventricular systole में the blood again goes up, where it does not go again in the right atrium. It goes from the tubes, as we learned, the aorta and the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery and the aorta, इन दोनों में blood जाता है when ventricular systole happens. Okay, so उसके बाद होता है joint diastole. So joint diastole में क्या होता है, both atria and ventricles both are relaxed, means no one is contracting. तो नॉर्मल ये क्या होता है, joint diastole, जिसमें कोई भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं कर रहा है. It is of 0.4 seconds. So there is an important, you have to learn the systole timing. Atrial systole is of 0.1 second, ventricular systole is of 0.4 second, joint diastole is of 0.4 second. Now how to calculate? Now see, if you want, you can remember the atrial diastole is of 0.7, the ventricular diastole is of 0.5 or 0.4. Learn the 0.4 value. So basically you calculate the diastole time by कार्डियक साइकिल माइनस द सिस्टोल टाइम. मतलब एट्रियल सिस्टोल का एट्रियल डायस्टोल का टाइमिंग निकाल रहा है, तो टोटल कार्डियक साइकिल कितना है 0.8 सेकंड का. उसमें माइनस कर दो जो एट्रियल सिस्टोल का टाइमिंग है 0.1, तो 0.8 माइनस 0.1 इट गिव्स 0.7. सो दैट इज़ योर एट्रियल डायस्टोल का टाइम. सो या दिस इज़ बेसिकली how the cycle works. You can note it down, you can revise it multiple times, याद हो जाएगा. Now let's go into the actual atrial systole, और तब उसमें क्या क्या होता है वो सब हम देखेंगे अभी. I hope it is visible. Okay. So now before starting atrial systole, we will just like it is a cycle. Okay, basically it is a cycle. So इधर से atrial systole is starting, but this is just the before conditions of atrial systole. मतलब क्या हो गया, atrial systole के पहले क्या आएगा, joint diastole, right? So these are basically the conditions, the general conditions of joint diastole. We will go into detail also, but just before starting atrial systole, just remember this, okay? So the before atrial systole, the chamber of heart is relaxed. Okay, you know relaxed मतलब diastole चल रहा है, कोई भी contract नहीं कर रहा है, relaxed. Sinoventrical nodes are closed. Sinoventrical nodes मतलब कौन से, जो एओर्टा का नोड है और जो पल्मोनरी आर्टरी का नोड है वेंट्रिकल्स में, जो एओर्टा में ब्लड जाता है ना, सो उधर का जो ये वाल्व और जो ये है, सॉरी डिड आई से सेमिल्यूनर वाल्व्स, सॉरी आई सेड नोड आई गेस, सेमिल्यूनर वाल्व्स, जो पल्मोनरी आर्टरी का वाल्व है और जो एओर्टा का वाल्व है, सो वहाँ के वाल्व्स आर क्लोज्ड. But the atrioventricular during joint diastole, remember the atrioventricular valves are open. मतलब you will think that when it contracts, when the atrias contract, at that time the blood is going down. Yes, that time the maximum amount of blood is going down. But in diastole condition also थोड़ा amount में blood is going down. The tricuspid and bicuspid valves are open. So atrioventricular valves, which are our atrioventricular valves, tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve, because they are located in atrioventricular wall, right? So they are called atrioventricular valves. So udhar wo these are open, so blood is going down. So blood flow from veins to atria वो सब चलता रहता है, veins to atrium I guess, and then atrium to ventricle. Sorry, this is atrium. वेन से एट्रियम में आ रहा है ब्लड, एट्रियम से वेंट्रिकल में भी जा रहा है. ओके, सो दीज आर दी कंडीशंस बिफोर द एट्रियल सिस्टोल. नाउ लेट्स सी व्हाट एक्चुअली हैपेंस इन एट्रियल सिस्टोल. So atrial systole, it is of 0.1 second as we read before. So what happens is the SAN, as we read in the before slide when I was explaining on the diagram of heart. So the SAN, it generates an impulse. क्या करता है, एक impulse generate करता है. कहाँ पे करता है, atria में. Both the atria contract, therefore flow of blood in ventricle increases by 30%. Read these statements, write down these statements. These are my own handmade notes, very important. So the SAN it generates impulses, and impulse generate करके क्या करता है, वो atria को contract कर देता है. Due to this contraction, the pressure in the atria increases and the blood flows down. So before also it was flowing down, but now what happens, due to the pressure, the blood flow in the ventricles, atria से जो ventricles में जा रहा है, it is increased by 30%. very important. The tricuspid valves are open, the tricuspid and bicuspid also. Though these valves are open, both the valves, bicuspid also, tricuspid and bicuspid valve, blood नीचे जा रहा है, तो obviously these are open. I'm assuming that you know the basic structure of heart. Valve कैसे open होते हैं, क्या होते हैं, वो सब पता है. तो these are remain open, obvious, I've still written it. And उसके बाद then atrial diastole happens. Okay, so now these are the basic things of atrial systole. Note it down. So now we will start with ventricular systole. I hope you have understand this. If you don't understand anything or want me to make another video to clear it up or specifically on that topic, please let me know. Okay, so now we will start ventricular systole. Okay guys, so let's start with ventricular systole. So just now we completed the atrial systole. I hope you understand it. So now the blood is in the ventricles as I told you. So let's start. So the ventricular systole, it is of 0.3 second. As I told you, it is of 0.3 seconds. Now what happens, हमने देखा कि atrial systole में the AVN, SAN generates the sinoatrial node generates the impulses. Now when the impulses go, then they pass on to AVN. Now AVN and the bundle of His, now they generate the impulses and they cause the contraction of ventricles, as I've written here. Action potential conducted down to ventricles by AVN and bundle of His. Again, very important, SAN generates the main impulses, AVN and bundle of His and Purkinje fibers, they just carry the impulses down and make ventricles contract. So now action potential conducted down to ventricles by AVN and bundle of His, therefore ventricles contract, ventricular systole. Ventricles क्या होता है, ventricle contract कर जाते हैं या फिर ventricular systole हो जाता है. Thus pressure inside ventricle increases. तो जैसा कि हमने देखा, प्रेशर ऐसे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगा, प्रेशर बढ़ेगा. देन AV नोड्स, ट्राइकस्पिड एंड बाइकस्पिड वाल्व दे शट. क्योंकि क्या है, अभी जैसे हमने देखा ब्लड नीचे आया था एंड इफ अगेन वेंट्रिकल्स कॉन्ट्रैक्ट देन ब्लड का इधर प्रेशर बढ़ेगा, देन इट मे गो अप. सो व्हाट हैपन्स, द AV नोड्स, नाउ यू हैव रेड द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ AV नोड्स. नाउ दे व्हाट हैपन, ऐसे ऊपर वो फ्लैप की तरह रहते हैं. मतलब अपना लैरिंग्स कैसे रहता है, नेक में लैरिंग्स. सो फूड इट कैन गो बैक बट इट कैन गो अप. द फ्लैप ऐसे शट्स, ऐसे ऐसे होता है ना फ्लैप. सो नीचे से ऐसे, ऊपर से इट कैन स्लाइड बट नीचे से ऐसे हो जाता है वो. सो AV nodes they shut, therefore preventing the flow of blood from ventricles back to atria. वैसा नहीं चाहिए हमें. So no backflow of blood, so avoids backflow. And when this AV nodes shut, then first sound is heard, lub. Again very very important point. When is the first, you know that heartbeats lub dub lub dub lub dub ऐसे आता है आवाज़. So when is the first sound heard? First sound is heard when the atrioventricular valves, that is the tricuspid and the bicuspid valves, when they shut, at that time we heard the first sound lub. lub dub ऐसे होता है वो. So now moving on, ये एक point हो गया. Then the semilunar valves which are present in the pulmonary artery and aorta. इनमें जो वाल्व्स है उधर तो ब्लड जाना चाहिए ना, हमको बॉडी में जाना है और राइट एट्रियम से लंग्स में जाना है, डीऑक्सीनेटेड ब्लड. सो दीज वाल्व्स आर ओपन ऑफ कोर्स, देयरफॉर ब्लड फ्लो थ्रू एओर्टा एंड पल्मोनरी आर्टरी. एओर्टा और पल्मोनरी आर्टरी में ब्लड जाता है एंड देन वेंट्रिकुलर डायस्ट्रोल. सो दिस इज प्रिटी सिंपल. I am hoping that each and every student you understand what exactly is ventricular systole. Now remember the process. Obviously statement based question can come, but also remember 0.3 ऐसा fact से AV nodes जब close होते हैं तब आता है first sound lub. Okay, so now this is ventricular systole is done. Now we will start with diastole, joint diastole. Okay, now let's start with joint diastole. Now joint diastole is the longest of all. It is of 0.4 second. Joint diastole में दोनों एट्रियम और वेंट्रिकल दोनों रिलैक्स करते हैं या फिर दोनों डायस्टोल फेज में रहते हैं. So now joint diastole, I read some of these points before the start of atrial. I told you ना it is a cycle. So atrial systole के पहले मैंने points पढ़े थे. The same applies here as well. So the semilunar valves shut. Very important, semilunar valves जो aorta और pulmonary artery के इधर present है, they are shut. Second sound is heard, dub, during ventricular diastole when semilunar valves shut. Now when ventricular diastole occurs, that is the same time when joint diastole starts. So you can say at the when ventricular diastole and joint diastole occurs, that time the semilunar valves close. ओके. सो सेमिलुनर वाल्व्स क्लोज. जब तो सेकेंड साउंड कब हर्ड होता है? व्हेन सेमिलुनर वाल्व्स क्लोज्ड. फर्स्ट साउंड लब, फर्स्ट विच इज द फर्स्ट साउंड लब, when is that heard? It is heard when the tricuspid and bicuspid valve or the AV, atrioventricular valves close. That time the first sound is heard. And when is the second sound heard? Second sound is heard when the semilunar valves closed. Okay, again a very important point. दी एट्रियोवेंट्रिकुलर वाल्व्स, इस टाइम पे मैंने जैसे बोला था कि थोड़ा थोड़ा ब्लड जाता रहता है. जब एट्रियल सिस्टोल होता है दैट टाइम द मैक्सिमम ब्लड ग्लोज, बट इन नॉर्मल डायस्टोल, जॉइंट डायस्टोल, सम अमाउंट ऑफ ब्लड इज फ्लोइंग. सो दी atrioventricular valves are open, therefore blood is flowing. Okay. Then atria and ventricles both are relaxed. As I told you before, atria and ventricle during joint diastole both are relaxed. Now this is another very very important point. Now you can learn the whole cardiac cycle, but if you don't know these facts पे क्वेश्चन आ सकता है. So when AV valves shut or the atrioventricular valves shut, that time the first lub sound is heard. When the sinoatrial valves shut, that time dub is heard. So lub and dub. So this is again a very interesting fact. Okay, it is given in NCERT. Please learn this. So जो लब साउंड होता है, लब साउंड कब होता है? जब एट्रियोवेंट्रिकुलर वाल्व्स क्लोज होते हैं. और उसके बाद इफ़ यू हैव दैट स्टेथोस्कोप, yes, I guess stethoscope. So you put it in ear and you put it on the chest. First you will hear the lub sound, and after 0.3 seconds you will hear the dub sound. Okay, so lub एंड देन डब. ऐसे 0.3, इतना तो यू कैनॉट ये जल्दी आएगा, पर 0.3 सेकेंड का गैप रहता है. एंड आफ्टर दिस डब के बाद देर इज़ अ गैप ऑफ 0.5 सेकेंड्स आफ्टर यू अगेन हियर लब. सो इट इज़ लाइक लब डब, इट इज़ लाइक लब 0.3 सेकेंड डब, 0.5 सेकेंड लब, 0.3 सेकेंड डब, 0.5 सेकेंड लब. ऐसे होता है वो. सो दिस इज़ अगेन अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. So that is all for the cardiac cycle. Now if you want any other videos regarding anything, please let me know. The next video I'm planning to make on menstrual cycle in the reproduction chapter. If you want me to make a video on some other topic, you can let me know in the comment section. And please give me ideas on which topics you find difficult. I can definitely make videos on them. And I hope today you understand cardiac cycle. So please leave a like if you understood something, and please subscribe if you may. Now this is my 4th video. I have like 0 subscribers at this time. I don't know, I guess today's the Euro Germany versus Spain, so I don't know what date it is today, but that is that. So please like, subscribe, share the video with your friends, help them crack NEET as well. And yeah, cheers, take care, bye.